Accountability to affected populations. Part 4. Feedback and complaints mechanisms. On completing this part, you'll be able to explain what feedback and complaints mechanisms are, key considerations when establishing feedback and complaints mechanisms, and how to manage feedback received. UNFPA defines feedback and complaint mechanisms as a system for affected populations to provide feedback and complaints, enabling UNFPA and partners to capture the diverse voices of people to improve the effectiveness and relevance of our programs. Feedback mechanisms provide information about how people have experienced services, goods, staff, or systems. Feedback can be positive or negative. It can be sensitive or non-sensitive. Complaints mechanisms allow for the expression and follow-up of grievances. They can be used to demand correction, they require a timely response, and they are a priority for action. Sensitive complaints require the protection of the complainant. While the two are often talked about in the same way, they serve different purposes and create different opportunities to engage with affected populations. For example, a community meeting may be a way to receive feedback on activities, but may not be a conducive environment for women and girls to raise formal complaints, including on unethical behavior related to sexual exploitation and abuse. On the other hand, a confidential complaint mechanism is a way for people to raise formal complaints and to seek support, but it may not lend itself to discuss other aspects of humanitarian aid. Examples of feedback and complaints mechanisms include suggestion boxes, hotlines, focus group discussions, key informant interviews, community meetings, feedback passed on via trusted community peers or leaders, and surveys. Feedback can also be shared via SMS, email, radio shows, and social media. The location of physical reporting channels must be critically considered to ensure confidentiality and accessibility and safety of the complainant, and to avoid further harm to survivors of violence. A key consideration when setting up feedback and complaints mechanisms is that the audience is diverse. During the design stage, you need to take into consideration age, sex, ability, literacy levels, language spoken, and technological literacy. People have different communication preferences, abilities, and opportunities to access communication channels. It is essential to consult people on their preferences to ensure the mechanism is understood, accepted, and trusted. It is essential to collaborate across sectors and services to avoid duplication and confusion of multiple feedback and complaints mechanisms. Any feedback and complaint mechanism for reporting of sexual exploitation and abuse concerns should be coordinated and integrated with pre-existing complaints and feedback structures. An interagency community-based feedback and complaints mechanism can provide a one-stop shop for complainants that will encourage reporting and maximize beneficiary comfort and safety with the process. Ensure consent, protection, and that survivor assistance needs are met. Staff need to be trained on referral mechanisms and available services for sensitive complaints. Inform community members of where, how, and when they will receive a response. Record, analyze, and process feedback. Record and categorize feedback to facilitate processing and analysis. Classify the nature of feedback and assign priority level. Disseminate the findings to relevant staff and partners to inform programmatic decision-making and course correction if needed. Remember that sensitive feedback should never be shared publicly. Action the feedback. Internal or external referral if needed for answer or action, and decide if change needs to be made or not as a result of the feedback received. Communicate action or response back to affected communities. Respond to the feedback received within the given timeframe, either directly to the individual who provided feedback or to the community. Remember that a decision to not take action also needs to be communicated. Communication channels will vary according to the type of feedback received. For sensitive priority matters, confidentiality and staffing of communication channels need to be reviewed thoroughly. When information on actions have been reported back to the community or individual, the feedback loop has been closed. Accountability to affected populations is everyone's responsibility. For additional information and guidance on each of these activities, please refer to the Accountability to Affected Populations Operational Guideline,